We have some breaking news as more moves are coming. Following Rob Pelinka signing Jackson Hayes once again to bring him back to the Lakers, new reports have dropped revealing that more moves are on the horizon, including one particular player that the Lakers are going to acquire. We're going to break down exactly who that is, discuss what this means going forward, as well as break down some other things in this episode, including an interesting report from Shams. But before we do it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. You guys have been fantastic, folks. Let's not waste any more time diving right into it here. Had a video on the Jackson Hayes, of course, signing with the Lakers there a few hours ago. A lot of you guys in the comment section are excited for him. He's a bit of a beast at times, but some new reports have dropped fairly recently here, like an hour or so ago, from Brett Siegel that has kind of taken over the news cycle here. Outside of Kuminga, we have notes on the Kings, the Lakers, the Cavs, the Bucks, and some more intel. Quick piece of intel on the Lakers. There is growing expectation around the NBA that De'Anthony Melton will end up with the Lakers. And this is a huge piece of news. And Brett Siegel, Anthony Irwin, do we trust him? No, not really. He said the Brook Lopez was going to sign with the Lakers. Brett Siegel, we trust fully. At least I do. He's been bullseye this offseason. And folks, this opens up some very interesting questions for De'Anthony Melton. And here is the full report. I'll dive into a bunch of things here, but let's just to give you guys some context of the full report. Outside of pursuing extra front court depth behind Ayton, which is interesting, the Lakers are also pursuing guard help to complement Luka's play. De'Anthony Melton has been a key name linked to Los Angeles throughout the offseason, and there is growing expectation that the Lakers will land him in free agency, sources say. External trade talks about adding a 3-and-D like Wiggins from the Miami Heat have not progressed since the idea was initially reported, and while the Heat are open to moving Wiggins, they maintain a high asking price. And of course, we'll have multiple videos coming out on this. The focus right now is De'Anthony Melton. I had a video on it yesterday. I've had videos on this now for like months almost because of how good of a fit he would be for the Lakers and ultimately a bunch of teams in the NBA. It seems, according to Siegel, they're actually going to come to an agreement. This is similar terminology that reporters have been using specifically regarding, DeAndre Ayton before they signed him. And this becomes very interesting because and also lost in this is that Horford is another name associated with LA. But again, the assumption is going to land with the Warriors. De'Anthony Melton is an extremely good basketball player, and I've been covering him on the channel a lot. This is extremely good news. Now, the big question mark is, how much money is he going to take? Jackson Hayes, he signed for a $3 million deal, in case you were wondering. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video. I have some more info on Jackson Hayes as well, but a $3 million deal with a no-trade clause, which is kind of funny. But regardless of that, they're pursuing De'Anthony Melton. And you can see this here, an interesting tweet per Brett Siegel. Again, the expectation around the league is that we end up with Melton. Hope this is a sign for things to come and that it comes to pass. As always, take everything with a grain of salt. Also, don't know if this was written before or after the Hayes signing, but he also says we're pursuing front court depth. And I think it was written after, but don't quote me on that. Regardless, I wouldn't be surprised if they're still pursuing other front court depth. At the end of the day here, they are, I don't know how much faith I have fully in Jackson Hayes being the backup center. I think he can be good, and I think under Luka Doncic last year, following the departure of Anthony Davis to acquire Doncic, he was pretty good. Like, he had some really good games. But for De'Anthony Melton, a perfect fit, a 3-and-D wing, right? He is a 3-and-D wing who has had very, very good years in the NBA. And this is somebody that, again, not only is a very pivotal part that this team is missing. Like, this is the puzzle piece and the piece of the pie that would absolutely fully, be needed, not fully solve their problems by any means, but he is an absolute beast. He is an animal when healthy. And that's, of course, the caveat within all this. And let's talk about the health. 6 games last year, 38 games a year before. So 44 games in the past 2 years for De'Anthony Melton. You're probably looking at that and saying, okay, we've dealt with injured players in the past and guys like that. I have full faith in this because here's the thing. You look at the team they have, which we'll dive into in a minute here. You're kind of hoping that everything works out. Now, DeAndre Ayton, if he has a great year, if Luka remains healthy in the best shape of his life, LeBron James remains healthy in the best shape of his life, and then you have De'Anthony Melton who, yes, his floor is that he's injured and he doesn't play, but if he has a healthy 60, 70 game season, you're adding a guy who averages 11 points a game, is an elite three-point shooter at times, had some great seasons, some mid-seasons, but at least an above-average three-point shooter on his career and over the past, handful of seasons. You're adding a guy who is not only an extremely good three-point shooter, an extremely capable defender as well. And he would be your point-of-attack defender that you can use. And then you actually have a ceiling that is very solid, as opposed to, signing a guy like Matisse Thybulle, who is really good defensively, but you know what you're getting offensively with him. You can see this here, Lakers checklist: sign Horford, sign Melton, trade for a 3-and-D starting wing. This is also the thing. I'm not necessarily saying that De'Anthony Melton should be the only move they make. They still are going to make a trade, folks. That is going to happen. They're going to trade for either what we thought was going to be a backup center. I would assume at this point, they're probably going to trade for a 3-and-D wing. But having depth, like their bench depth right now is not great, right? It is not great at all. It's a little bit in the trenches, I guess you could say, right? And regardless of that, though, they're in a very, very good spot. And you look at the starting five: Luka, Reaves, LeBron, Rui, De'Anthony Melton, right? Or DeAndre Ayton, sorry. Very, very, and this is updated as well. Shout out to my marks. Very, very good starting five. Two ways: you have Trey Jemison and Eric Dixon. You look at the bench now. You have Jackson Hayes, who is back. You have Jake LaRavia. That's pretty good depth, right? Not bad. You also have, Gabe Vincent, but you need somebody else. Like De'Anthony Melton would almost surely be your sixth man, him and Jake LaRavia. Then you have a bench unit of Melton. You have a bench unit of LaRavia, two guys who have pretty high ceilings here and have shown abilities to be really good. Melton's only going to be 27 years old. I love the move, truly love the move. And the fact that the Lakers are not only pursuing it, but are favorites to land him at this point is an absolute steal for me. Like, this would be a robbery if they're able to grab him. Not because of the fact that he's going to put up 20 points a game, but because of the fact that you're buying low on the guy who was coming off an injury. And if you watch some of the Warriors games, and I did some, research, watched some of his footage back, and at the time I was actually, for some reason I was watching a couple of the, Warriors games, 2 or 3 of them last season when Melton played. He was a crucial part of that. And I was speaking to some Warriors fans. They said that he was very good in their time there, and they thought he was going to be the missing piece almost to help put this whole piece together for the Warriors, which is kind of crazy to say given everything that's happened. And their depth is the biggest thing right now. And a new report as well from Dan Wokey dropped saying the Lakers, as is, also believe that Maxi Kleber's value, believe in his value as a stretch big. So that's, a little bit scary because it seems that they might be done with centers at least. And of course, again, things change, things are fluid. Ayton, Hayes, Maxi Kleber as your 3 centers. It makes sense why the Lakers would be kind of there. If you're trying to trade for a 3-and-D wing to pair with De'Anthony Melton, you're probably not going to trade for a center. And then you have Maxi Kleber, who has chemistry with Luka Doncic, is a stretch big, and neither of the other 2 centers they have are shooters. So it actually makes perfect sense why they think this. I don't know if I love it, but you can see this here. They still have the biannual exception. Maybe they're cooking, but it's not looking too promising. I'll cover this in another video. I think I'm fine with it. Like, in general, I don't hate our big man rotation. They need to fix the bench, though. They need to have some more scoring. And again, if Bronny James turns out to be the 3-and-D guy that he can be at some point, maybe he accelerates the process. And there was also a report I want to dive into as well from Shams here. So Shams came out and also said that the Lakers are going to be heavily pursuing a center, basically, and more front court depth, which is interesting. And pretty big report from Shams. Shams has also come out recently and basically said the Lakers are being extremely aggressive. And he came on a bunch of radio shows, and we've seen him over the Pat McAfee show over the past week. They're being extremely aggressive in the trade market. And that aggressiveness in the trade market from those reports that Shams has given to us, those reports from Shams given to us indicate that they are not going to be done here. I don't think they're going to be done yet. Even if they sign De'Anthony Melton with their biannual exception, you can still make moves. You have assets available. And again, the biannual exception is a $5.1 million thing. Is that going to be enough to get Melton? I think it would be. I mean, maybe he'll get a veteran minimum because of his lack of health. I would assume, some teams would go out there and would want him. Horford, still in the running for him. Again, Brett Siegel mentioned that in his article, and he basically said that they're still in the running for Horford, although the Warriors are the favorites right now. But you guys have been absolutely fantastic with the support, keeping you up to date with everything Lakers. If you're enjoying the grind, make sure to hit the subscribe button. You guys have been fantastic. You guys are beasts. See you guys later.